Bonjour and hello everyone. Welcome to Queer French Farmhouse, the podcast about being queer as an expat living in France and renovating a house, or in my case, half a chateau. Welcome back, you guys. So nice to have you back on the podcast. And I just created my business here in France. It's just like so unbelievable. I didn't think that it would all go so fast. It's just like, it's really crazy at this pace, and it's actually really easy to open up a so-called micro-entreprise in France. It's just like an online portal, and you do everything there. You tell them all about it, and then they'll just set you up and everything, and everything's done. It's crazy. I just got like the email back, and it took them like 30 minutes or so to validate my business. So yeah, now I have a full setup business in France. So if you want to come and visit me or stay in France, also think about your next summer holidays. Or even Easter or late summer, autumn next year, you can find me on Airbnb, and also you can find me by now on Mr. B&B and Veg Visits. With every stay, you get also a complimentary breakfast and dinner, all vegan, all made by yours truly. So don't hesitate. Book. You can also just ask me if you need to have something else, or if you would like me to accommodate some other type of food indigestion, for example. That is no problem at all, and I'll try to find a way to make you feel comfortable. You can easily come here through Paris. If you're coming all the way from the States, probably it's easiest to get on a plane to Paris and then take a train down to Angoulême, and from there we can organize a transport, or if there's not so many, then I can also pick you up for a fee from the station. So it's all manageable. And if you're coming from the UK, probably it's much easier to go to Limoges, and we can do the same kind of arrangement, or we can see if transport can be arranged, or you can just rent a car at Limoges airport. So that makes you also a bit more versatile in traveling methods while you're here. I made myself a coffee, and today's topic, I wanted to talk about renovating the house because I think, it's part of the podcast, and it's a big part of my life, and a big part I didn't think I would ever do. I think I really deep inside of me, I really wanted to do it, and I really wanted this project that actually had something it is so tangible, and I think that's the best word to describe it, because it's not only that it is fulfilling and that it's physical work, and it feels you feel drained at the end of a day, but at the same time you feel so accomplished. And anyone who's renovated a house, or who's done DIYs or whatever kind of thing, it's you feel really accomplished at the end of it, because you really made something happen. So not only is it that feeling for me, but it's also got to do a lot with I come from a background where your work is so vulnerable, and your work is actually it just dissolves right in front of you. It's just this one moment, and yes, I'm setting up choreographies, I'm dancing those choreographies, or other people dance them for me, and I can see them, but they just exist in that very moment. They're nothing that you can put somewhere. They're nothing that, it's not a physical product. It's nothing that shows, and even if you can do a recording of it, it still isn't the same thing, because it's just, live performance and live art is something totally different to producing something, producing music, producing a piece of art that you can hang, or like a drawing, a painting, a sculpture. There's so many forms of art, but this particular one that is dance and performance, it's just like, it's so non-tangible. It's just like so fleeting. It only exists in this moment, and I think that's the beauty of it, and I think that's why a lot of people also have a huge appreciation for it, and I think it's the best art form to kind of be in the very moment with those people that perform for you. And I think sometimes we take it for granted when we see things happening in front of our eyes, like life, because it's just in that very moment, and then that moment's gone, and all that product, all that work is just like, yeah, it isn't gone, but it's just like, it's dissolved. It's been there, And I wouldn't say it's gone, because it's not gone. It's not like you lose your skills after it, but it's just, yeah, I think it's such a non-tangible way of living and working. So I find it really satisfying to be doing this on my own, and like going through this process. And I think also what this process is teaching me, or has taught me so far, is to really like appreciate like time, and to really appreciate like how much work it actually costs you to get somewhere and to do something. So not only does it take time, but it also takes a lot of attention throughout the day to be doing everything yourself. Because literally what I wanted to do is like, let me take you to the start of the whole thing. So when we bought this house with my ex-husband, we already knew that the house didn't have enough bathrooms to accommodate like people for a bed and breakfast or a retreat center or whatever plan we had back then. So we did know that we had to put in at least 2 more ensuite bathrooms. And I think like, especially when you're coming from more an English-speaking kind of world, it's like ensuite is very much on trend, and you actually always wish for ensuite bathrooms. But in Europe and Central Europe, it's really not like so very, very common to have like, yeah, to have ensuite bathrooms. I mean, especially in a very private property, which isn't meant for like renting out. So there was like the second floor is the guest floor of the house, and there were 3 rooms up there and a bathroom, and quite well sized bathroom actually. So we knew we had to put in 2 more bathrooms, and then I ended up like doing all the work myself, which is not blaming my ex-husband, but actually like we separated, so that was the reason why. So yeah, I started like from scratch, and I had my dad help me because I had never in my life done a bathroom, and I knew that like we had someone coming in the very like beginning October last year, and just a guy from the UK who works here a lot, like a contractor. So I talked to him, and he's like, "Oh, you're trying to make the impossible possible," because we wanted to lead down the wastewater on the other side of the house that actually like had a wastewater connection to the canal on that side, because the house has 2 connections, but it was like going through 2 ceilings and a very thick wall. The other way around would have been like leading the waste pipe through the Grand Salon, which is like the main living space downstairs, which is basically all of downstairs, and leading it through there until it reaches like having to go outside, like a really thick wall. Like this one's really, really thick. I think it's like 1.5 meters, so it's like really, really thick. So going through that, and then connecting to the existing wastewater. which also would have been a pain to do. So yeah, in the end I decided, okay, you know what, just like, if it's so complicated, and then I was looking for other contractors to maybe do it, and I just couldn't find anyone who would actually do it. So nobody had time, or people wouldn't just respond. So I just let that be, and I was talking to my dad, and I was like, I think I can do it on my own. And I really didn't know, like, I didn't know anything about it. So, and I think at the beginning my dad was a bit reluctant, because he was like, oh no, we can't do this alone, you won't make it. And I mean, he knew that I was like sort of handy, but really not very experienced in handy things. I mean, I helped them around their house, and I did quite a bit in my own apartments, but nothing of that grandeur. So I knew I had to rely on him to help me there. And I think that's when the story goes back to, like, you know, to all the stereotypes of being queer. I think also, like, for my parents, even though they love me and they respect me for all my choices and how I am, and they respect that they have a queer kid, but I do think that also they have some kind of misconceptions or bias inside of them, deep inside of them. So they're like, oh, well, you know, that our gay son is trying to, like, be manly or something like that. So yeah, I think they were really biased, to be all honest. But so I was just like, no, I'm gonna do it. Let's try it. I mean, the worst case is like we can't do it, and then I'll try to find a contractor. So we started building walls in the beginning of January. For the new bathrooms, because in the end I decided, like, to attach one of the bathrooms to the corridor or the hallway of the second floor, which was anyway quite big, and to remove a bit of space from one of the rooms, and built in an ensuite in there, because one with the other room that basically has the bathroom in the hallway now. I mean, or now it's not, because it's a bathroom, but before that was too small to put an ensuite in. It just would have, like, taken away a lot of space, and that room was already quite small. It's okay, but it would have not been sufficient to make a bathroom inside of it, you know, build walls and everything. So yeah, we started by building walls, and then slowly by slowly we got all the pipes. We bought all the pipes and everything for the wastewater, and then my dad kind of explained it to me, and then I basically just started going for it. I think my dad didn't even think, like, it was that time where I went to Germany. I had a huge fight with my ex-husband, and I basically spent 10 hours in Germany. I went back. I was supposed to stay for longer, and I wanted to talk to him for, like, sit down and everything, but everything was just so over emotional, so that I left the next day, and I was like, you know what, I think I am going to leave, you know. It's like, I think it's best, like, that I just, like, move to France in, like, a second. So that's when I packed all my stuff and just went to France. And then I ended up being here in February, like, after a day, and I should have been, like, away for, like, 5 weeks, I think. And then I was back in a day. My now boyfriend was a bit like, okay, what's going on here? So yeah, and that's when my dad was actually supposed to come around Easter time and, like, help me do it, and that's when we would have continued. And then I had all this time, and I was here. So I was like, okay, let's get rolling. Let's do this. We're gonna sit down and do everything to actually make those bathrooms happen. So that's when I started, like, drilling holes into the walls, and actually, like, we did have to go through one 80 centimeter hole, or 80 centimeter wall, of like pure stone wall, basically. So that was bit by bit. That's what I did with my dad still, and I think was one of the last things that we did together before we left both to Germany. And then, yeah, I started drilling holes through the ceilings and started wastewater piping. I started laying out water. I started installing the ballons for heating the water. So, because here people heat their water with electricity in ballons, in like kind of like I don't know how you'd call it in English. It's a ballon. It's basically something that heats up the water and it stays hot in there. And then when you need hot water, it just takes it off. And they are all smart, so they actually heat the water when on off times where my electricity is cheaper and everything. So I've been saving a lot of electricity costs on through using them. So then we ended up doing all of that, and it was just like, or I ended up doing all of that, and it was just like crazy doing all these steps and being like, oh, now I need to lay water pipes, and what are the ways to lay a water pipe, and it's just like absolutely bonkers. And if you want to see all this, it's like all captured on video. It's in German language, but you can find it on my YouTube channel. If you type in Le Demi-Château, which is LEDEMICHATEAU, Le Demi-Château. So you can find that on YouTube and just follow my everyday craziness here, basically. So I think renovating a house is like teaching you a lot of patience as well. I think it just takes you back to being vulnerable sometimes also, because sometimes things don't work and you have to figure them out, and sometimes you won't figure them out until like a long time. I've had, like, after I built those bathrooms and everything was fine, and I built up the showers and blah, 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 I had 2 leaking showers. And I was like, oh my God, those leaks are driving me insane. So I got rid of one leak, actually. I still need to... I know what to do with the other bathroom, so I just need to go in there and do it. And actually today I went to the hardware store and totally forgot to buy what I wanted to buy for that. So that means I'm gonna do it next week after I get back from Germany, because I'm leaving to Germany. So while you're listening this, I'm already in Germany, but I'll be just there for like 4 days and then I'll be back in France. So it teaches you, I think, a lot of things, a lot of like how to deal with frustration. I think a lot. Like sometimes you just need to like literally sit down somewhere where it's nice, and that's why I think when renovating a house, you need to have like 1 or 2 spaces that you renovate before all the rest. And these need to be somehow pretty, and they need to like calm you, and they need to be okay, because you need those spaces to sit down and have a good cry. I'm telling you, you will get there. You will be so frustrated and so annoyed and so like all these different kind of emotions throughout living in your house while you're renovating. It will be a mess, for sure. There's no other way. It is what it is. And sometimes you just need to sit down and cry. That was my solution. I basically sat down, I cried, I had mental breakdowns, basically. Because I was like, it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. I'm going to fail so badly at it. But I think it's good. It's good to let it all out, and to just like cleanse yourself with your tears, and then just like let it go and go back at it. It's you shouldn't give up, but I think you just need to let it all out, because otherwise it'll drive you insane. I'm talking from experience. So yeah, that's basically, like, renovating a house is just absolutely bonkers. And that's just one tiny story of like renovating this house, and I have many more, and probably many more to come. So follow the podcast, follow the YouTube channel. Also, I'm planning another sidekick of my YouTube channel, which will be on my YouTube channel, but it's going to be like a mini series for itself in English language. It is going to be Chateau Summer Vacation, and I'll take you on all these little trips around and my everyday life, and it's going to be like vlog style summer in Charente-Limousin, where I live. So I thought it would be really cute to have that during summer. And if you have any ideas, questions, do not hesitate to write me. You can either find me on Demi-Château.com, and there's a contact form there where you can contact me, or you can send me an Instagram message on my Instagram, which is _Demi_Château, so LE_DEMI_CHATEAU. So _Demi_Château, and you'll find me on there. And just send me a message. Give me a shout out. Tell me what you would be interested in hearing in the next few podcasts, and I'll be very glad to take your advice and to also get feedback from you, which would be really lovely. And and if you haven't seen, I'm having a mindfulness weekend all in English. It's gonna be from the 15th of September until the 17th of September here. It's a retreat where we just like meditate, we do a bit of light yin yoga, we just like use the weekend to kind of calm down and just kind of like rearrange, and we'll have a journaling workshop and just like, just have some me time, which is really important. And I'm planning more and more retreats throughout the next few months. So really keep on checking my website, and I'll also announce it in the podcasts now. So yes, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. It's been a lot of rambling at times. I hope that's all fine with you. And thank you very much for being such wonderful listeners. And I shall talk to you next week again on Saturday. And until then, I'm saying bisous and à bientôt from the southwest of France.